Now, I'm all about hacks and making life a little easier, and that is exactly what an eyeshadow stick will do for your next step. So next thing we want to do is create some dimension in the eye and start carving out that center crease. I'm taking the Vive shadow stick in the shade Hazelnut, and it's just a wind up, wind down shadow stick. And all I'm going to do here is starting at my outer lash line, I'm just going to very gently create a little line that stops at my socket, so I can feel where my eye socket starts there. I'm then going to take it up just slightly through my socket until it meets the arch of my brow. So it's nice and central, so if I look straight ahead, my pupil is here, and that is where the shadow stops, where I've just put that. And then I'm going to repeat it on the other side. And in terms of angling, you want to angle it towards the tail of your brow. So tail of my brow is here, my socket is here, so I'm going to pull it through and round. So the next thing we're going to do is take a domed fluffy brush, and very lightly again, you're going to hold this right at the edge, about a couple of centimetres in, maybe an inch in from the end. And we are going to very, very lightly just use back and forth motions like this. As you can see, there's no product on the brush, and if you look at how I do this on my hand, the bristles aren't moving. They aren't bending like this and getting squished. They are literally just swiping across the surface, and they are hardly moving. If you want to use circular motions, you can do that also. But because I'm working at a diagonal angle, I'm just going to use really light straight strokes. So I'm just going to take that really light pressure and just go over the edge of where we put that product. And then as we move into the crease, I'm just going to, again, follow that round, and I'm going to start here using those circular motions just to buff out that product, making sure my bristles are nice and straight. I'm not applying too much pressure, and it's like a tickle more than anything else. And you can tell if you're doing this or not because, look, that product is staying at the tip. Yes, it's at an angle because I'm holding my brush at an angle, but it doesn't travel into the brush. And again, you're going to bring that towards that tail of your brow and up through your crease, heading towards the front of your brow. Just to buff that out really nicely. We don't want to lose a shape, but we do want to soften it because this is going to lay down for where we're going to put our powder products. Honestly, this will save you so much time when it comes to blending out your eyeshadow, because you won't have to build up and build up and build up. Instead, you've got a base there already, and if you don't have a shadow stick, the perfect thing to use is a cream liquid bronzer, or even a foundation or concealer. Like, honestly, anything that's the same colour that you want to use for depth in your socket, just use it. Like, it doesn't have to be marketed as eyeshadow or anything like that. A darker concealer, bronzer, contour, anything like that is fabulous. Okay, so now we've done that. Next step, so I love a brush set by Ariel. So I'm going to take my nice big fluffy brush from the Ariel collection. I am then going to take the bronzer that I'm going to be using on my skin later on, and I'm going to load it up. And by load it up, this is what I want you to do. So I don't want you, same as what we just did on the back of the hand, I don't want you pressing in like this into your eyeshadows or bronzer. What I want you to do instead is just take your brush, see the tips of the bristles there, and just swirl it around in the product. If this brush was white, what you would see is that there is only product at the very end. It isn't going all the way into the brush, it's just at the tips. And what this is going to do is give us that control. So when we put this on our skin now, the product is going to go exactly where we want it and not go everywhere because the brush is so big and we've masked it all the way around. It's going to be centralised in the brush with that doming effect at the edge, clear so that it can help us blend. Again, I'm all about working smarter, not harder. So again, we're going to start at the edge. I'm going to start towards the lash line and just softly blend exactly where we placed that eyeshadow before. And you'll notice I'm still holding the brush in the same place, about an inch away from the edge. I'm holding it with the tips of my fingers. Think of it like a chopstick. I know that might sound silly, but that's the best way I can think of describing it. And what we're going to do here is build up gradually until you get to a point where you are happy that we've set that transition shade and it is the right density for you in terms of colour. Now, please remember, you haven't got anything on your skin yet, so this might look a little bit darker and you might think, oh God, have I put too much on? Is this going to look silly? One, no, you'll be absolutely fine. It is just because you haven't got any colour on your actual face yet. And two, we can always sort that out later. If that's how you feel when you put the rest of your face on, we can sort that out for you. Not a problem. Or if you are a little bit cautious, that's fine. What we can do is we can darken it up afterwards, so it's not a problem. So I'm just repeating this step a couple of times. And as you can see, I've got my mirror down here and it's angled up at me. So when I'm looking down, when I'm doing my eye makeup, by looking down, it stretches out my eye area for me. So when you see a makeup artist like pulling like this, it's to stretch out that eye area. But when you're doing it on yourself, if you just place your mirror downwards, that's what you're creating. So step 2 is we are going to take a slightly smaller fluffy brush. That's one we just used, and we're going to use this one so you can see that it's the smaller version of the same brush. And I'm going to take my Makeup by Mario palette, and it is this one here, this middle one right here. So it's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, number 6. I'm going to load it up in exactly the same way, and we're going to repeat exactly what we've just done, but stick to that outer third. So as you can see, we're doing the same area here between the lower lash line and the crease, and then we're bringing it exactly to that centre point where we stopped our cream concealer before, our cream eyeshadow before, sorry. So we're going to do it exactly as we did before. So we're taking that darker shade just from the outer lash line to the crease, and then across to that centre point where we stopped before with that cream shadow. And we're going to do that on both sides. Again, holding the brush towards the edge. I know I keep saying this, but this is one of the really simple things that will make such a difference to your makeup application, is literally the way you hold the brush and the precision at which you use it. Now, I don't want this to be too dramatic. I'm making this more soft glam. If you wanted this to be more dramatic, you could repeat this step again with a smaller brush and go darker, and that will give you that really ultra dimensional smoky eye. That's as far as I want to go with it. I don't want anything too much. So I'm just going to go back in with our large brush and our bronzer and just go over that to make sure it's super blended and there's no harsh lines.